practicing ancient teachings, accurately translated from original Pali Sutras. These three area referred to as threefold salvation. These efforts resulted in ARM becoming one of the fastest growing religious groups in Japan's history. David E. Kaplan and Andrew Marshall, in their 1996 book, The Cult at the End of the World, the terrifying story of the ARM doomsday cult, from the subways of Tokyo to the nuclear arsenals of Russia, claim that its practices remained secret. Initiation rituals, assert the authors of the book, often involved use of hallucinogens, such as LSD. Religious practices often involved extremely ascetic practices, claim Itobi yoga. These included everything from renunciants being hung upside down to being given shock therapy. 25. In the early days, ARM was able to recruit a variety of people ranging from bureaucrats to personnel from Japanese self-defense forces and the Tokyo Metropolitan Police. 37. Incidents before 1995. ARM affair date 1989 March 20, 1995 Location Japan Result arrest of Shoko Asahara Government victory. Belligerents Japan ARM Shinrikyo commanders and leaders Tomiichi Murayama Shoko Asahara units involving Patriot Police Unit 1 ST Airborne Brigade civilian protesters armed believers casualties and losses 27 killed 6,000 plus injured 1 killed 192 plus arrested, later 13 executed. The cult started attracting controversy in the late 1980s with accusations of deception of recruits, holding cult members against a will, forcing members to donate money and murdering a cult member who tried to leave in February 1989. 38. 39. In October 1989, the group's negotiations with Zatsumi Sakamoto, an anti-cult lawyer threatening a lawsuit against them which could potentially bankrupt the group, failed. In the same month, Sakamoto recorded an interview for a talk show on the Japanese TV station TBS. The network then had the interview secretly shown to the group without notifying Sakamoto, intentionally breaking protection of sources. The group then pursued TBS to cancel the broadcast. The following month Sakamoto, his wife and his child went missing from their home in Yokohama. The police were unable to resolve the case at the time, although some of his colleagues publicly voiced their suspicions of the group. It was not until after the 1995 Tokyo attack that they were found to have been murdered and their bodies dumped in separate locations by cult members. 40. 41. Kaplan and Marshall allege in their book that ARM was also connected with such activities as extortion. The group, authors report, commonly took patients into its hospitals and then forced them to pay exorbitant medical bills. 25. The cult is known to have considered assassinations of several individuals critical of the cult, such as the heads of Buddhist sects Soka Gakkai and the Institute for Research in Human Happiness. After cartoonist Yoshinari Kobayashi began satirizing the cult, he was included on ARM's assassination list. An assassination attempt was made on Kobayashi in 1993. 42. In 1991, ARM began to use wiretapping to get NTT uniforms /equipment and created a manual for wiretapping. 37. In July 1993, cult members sprayed large amounts of liquid containing Bacillus anthracis spores from a cooling tower on the roof of ARM Shinrikyo's Tokyo headquarters. However, their plan to cause an anthrax epidemic failed. The attack resulted in a large number of complaints about bad odors but no infections. 43. At the end of 1993, the cult started secretly manufacturing the nerve agent sarin and, later, VX. ARM tested its sarin on sheep at Banjawarn Station, a remote pastoral property in Western Australia, killing 29 sheep. Both sarin and VX were then used in several assassinations and attempts over 1994-95. 44. 45. On the night of the 27th of June, 1994, the cult carried out a chemical weapons attack against civilians when their last sarin in the central Japanese city of Matsumoto, Nagano. With the help of a converted refrigerator truck, members of the cult released a cloud of sarin which floated near the homes of judges who were overseeing a lawsuit concerning a real estate dispute which was predicted to go against the cult. This Matsumoto incident killed 8 and harmed 500 more. 46. Police investigations focused only on an innocent local resident, Yoshiyuki Kano, and failed to implicate the cult at the time. It was only after the Tokyo subway attack that armed Shinrikyo was discovered to be behind the Matsumoto sarin attack. At the end of 1994, the cult broke into the Hiroshima factory of Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, in an attempt to steal technical documents on military weapons such as tanks and artillery. 25. In December 1994 and January 1995, Maizumi Sachiya of Arm Shinrikyo synthesized 100 to 200 grams of VX which was used to attack 3 people. On the 2nd of December, Noboru Mitsuno, who was believed to have been assisting former members of ARM, was attacked with syringes containing VX gas, leaving him in a serious condition. 47. Tadahito Hamaguchi, whom Asahara suspected was a spy, was attacked at 7 a.m. on 12 December 1994, on the street in Asaka by Tomomitsu Niimi and another ARM member, who sprinkled the nerve agent on his neck. He chased them for about 100 yards, 91 m, before collapsing, dying 10 days later without coming out of a deep coma. Doctors in the hospital suspected at the time he had been poisoned with an organophosphate pesticide. But the cause of death was pinned down only after cult members arrested for the subway attack in Tokyo in March 1995 confessed to the killing. Ethyl methylphosphonate methylphosphonic acid, and disopropyl 2-methylthioethylamine were later found in the body of the victim. Unlike the cases for sarin, Matsumoto incident and sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway, VX was not used for mass murder. 44, 48, 45. On January 4, Hiroyuki Nagaoka, an important member of the Armed Victims Society, a civil organization that protested against the sect's activities, was assassinated in the same way. 44, 49, 50, 45. In February 1995, several cult members kidnapped Kiyoshi Kariya, a 69-year-old brother of a member who had escaped from a Tokyo street, and took him to a compound in Kamiku Ishiki near Mount Fuji, where he was killed. His corpse was destroyed in a microwave-powered incinerator and the remnants disposed of in Lake Kawaguchi. 51. Before Kariya was abducted, he had been receiving threatening phone calls demanding to know the whereabouts of his sister, and he had left a note saying, "If I disappear, I was abducted by Arm Shinrikyo." 44. Police made plans to simultaneously raid cult facilities across Japan in March 1995. 52. Prosecutors alleged Asahara was tipped off about this and that he ordered the Tokyo subway attack to divert police. 45. Meanwhile, ARM had also attempted to manufacture 1,000 assault rifles, but only completed 1. 53. According to the testimony of Kenichi Hirose at the Tokyo District Court in 2000, Asahara wanted the group to be self-sufficient in manufacturing copies of the Soviet Union's main infantry weapon, the AK-74 Winking Sad Smiley 54. One rifle was smuggled into Japan, to be studied so that ARM could reverse engineer and mass-produce the AK-74. 55. Police seized AK-74 components and blueprints from a vehicle used by an ARM member on April 6, 1995. 56. Tokyo subway sarin attack and related incidents. On the morning of the 20th of March, 1995, ARM members released a binary chemical weapon, most closely chemically similar to sarin, in a coordinated attack on 5 trains in the Tokyo subway system, killing 13 commuters, seriously injuring 54 and affecting 980 more. Some estimates claim as many as 6,000 people are injured by the sarin. It is difficult to obtain exact numbers since many victims are reluctant to come forward. 57. Prosecutors allege that Asahara was tipped off by an insider about planned police raids on cult facilities and ordered an attack in central Tokyo to divert police attention away from the group. The attack evidently backfired, and police conducted huge simultaneous raids on cult compounds across the country. 58. ARM Shinrikyo facility in Kamikuishiki September 8, 1996. Over the next week, the full scale of ARM's activities was revealed for the first time. At the cult's headquarters in Kamikuishiki on the foot of Mount Fuji, police found explosives, chemical weapons, and a Russian Mi-17 military helicopter. While the finding of biological warfare agents such as anthrax and Ebola cultures was reported, those claims now appear to have been widely exaggerated. 59. There were stockpiles of chemicals that could be used for producing enough sarin to kill 4 million people. 60. Police also found laboratories to manufacture drugs such as LSD, methamphetamine, and a crude form of truth serum, a safe containing millions of US dollars in cash and gold, and cells, many still containing prisoners. During the raids, ARM issued statements claiming that the chemicals were for fertilizers. Over the next 6 weeks, over 150 cult members were arrested for a variety of offenses. The media was stationed outside ARM's Tokyo headquarters on Komezawa-dori in Aoyama for months after the attack, and arrests waiting for action and to get images of the cult's other members. On the 30th of March, 1995, Takeji Kunamatsu, chief of the National Police Agency, was shot 4 times near his house in Tokyo and was seriously wounded. While many suspected ARM involvement in the shooting, the Sankei Shimbun reported that Hiroshi Nakamura is suspected of the crime, but nobody has been charged. On the 23rd of April, 1995, Hido Yorai, the head of ARM's Ministry of Science, was stabbed to death outside the cult's Tokyo headquarters amidst a crowd of about 100 reporters, in front of cameras. The man responsible, a Korean member of Yamagachigumi, was arrested and eventually convicted of the murder. His motive remains unknown. On the evening of the 5th of May, a burning paper bag was discovered in a toilet in Tokyo's busy Shinjuku station. Upon examination, it was revealed that it was a hydrogen cyanide device which, had it not been extinguished in time, would have released enough gas into the ventilation system to potentially kill 10,000 commuters. 52. On the 4th of July, several undetonated cyanide devices were found at other locations in Tokyo subway. 61, 62, 63. During this time, numerous cult members were arrested for various offenses, but arrests of the most senior members on the charge of the subway gassing had not yet taken place. In June, an individual unrelated to ARM had launched a copycat attack by hijacking All Nippon Airways Flight 857, a Boeing 747 bound for Hakodate from Tokyo. The hijacker claimed to be an ARM member in possession of sarin and plastic explosives, but these claims were ultimately found to be false. 64. Asahara was finally found hiding within a wall of a cult building known as the Sixth Sashin in the Kamikuishiki complex on the 16th of May and was arrested. 52. On the same day, the cult mailed a parcel bomb to the office of Yukio Aoshima, the governor of Tokyo, blowing off the fingers of his secretary's hand. Asahara was initially charged with 23 counts of murder and 16 other offenses. The trial dubbed the trial-off century by the press, ruled Asahara guilty of masterminding the attack and sentenced him to death. The indictment was appealed unsuccessfully. A number of senior members accused of participation, such as Maizumi Sachiya, also received death sentences. The reasons why a small circle of mostly senior ARM members committed atrocities and the extent of personal involvement by Asahara remain unclear, although several theories have attempted to explain these events.